Okay, so up to now, we have been building websites that are kind of plain and blah, right? They're just white, black text, nothing exciting. So HTML is providing us with the structure. It gives us the paragraphs and the structure of how our web page is going to look, but it doesn't give us color and decoration. And that's what CSS is. So we are going to start learning about CSS and learn that CSS is the language we use to style an HTML document. So it describes how the element should be displayed. It's going to give it the color and the design and the decoration and all of that. So we're going to jump into CSS in this video. Before I get started then, I need to create a project that I'm going to use to demonstrate CSS. So I'll start there. Remember that we had a CIS 130 folder. And in that 130 folder, we created a project called Recipes where we did our hyperlinks and our lists and that sort of thing. So today I'm going to create a new project folder. So I'm going to do it a little bit differently than the way we've done it before, just so you can see different directions to get to the same outcome. So in my CIS 130 folder, I'm going to create a new folder. So a new project, and I'm going to call this project Intro to CSS. Notice that I am not using any spacing. You really want to get out of spacing when it comes to web development. So instead of creating spaces, I've created capital letters to differentiate the three words involved in Intro to CSS. All right, so now that I've created that folder, what I want to do is I gave you some images to download if you want to use those in this project. So in my downloads folder, there's the images that I provided for you. So I'm going to double click on that and I'm going to extract those images, and it extracted, into a window that I can't show over here. So let me pull it over. So I'm going to extract those, and that should extract them all back into my downloads folder. There we go. So I'm going to copy that, or cut it, whatever you want to do. Copy that into the Intro to CSS project that we just created. So paste that in there. All right, so now that I have my project in place and I created it in place here in my File Explorer, I can open up that project here in Visual Studio Code, File. Remember, I'm opening a folder, not a file, so I need to open up that entire project. So I'm going to navigate to my desktop, to CIS 130, navigate to that folder that I'm creating, and select folder. Excellent. So now in this folder, I need to create some index pages. And then I also have a folder called Images that is storing my images. All right, so now we're going to create two pages. We're going to create index page as always, which will be our home page. So I'll start with that. So again, I have selected this entire root folder, and I can tell because the blue rectangle is around everything as opposed to selecting just the image folder. Now the blue rectangle is around images. So if I create a file now, it'll be put into the image folder, but I want to create a file inside my Intro to CSS folder. So I've selected the entire folder. Now I'm going to click on New File and create the index.html. I'm going to do the exclamation point and tab to create the initial skeleton for my web page. And then in the content, I've given you code that you can copy and paste in. So I'm going to copy and paste in that code. I'm going to go grab it, copy, and then paste it in here. If it didn't align correctly, if everything is indented weird, remember that you can right click on the page and choose Format Document, which will make sure all your indenting looks correct. All right, and so now I'm going to create, let's see what we have here. So we have some anchor tags, some hyperlinks that are creating a link to an index.html page, which is this one. And it looks like I've also wanting to create a stitch.html page. So we're going to create that. We've got a heading, we've got an image, and that image is stored in a folder. So we want to make sure we acknowledge the folder name and that image. And then you probably want to put your own name in there. Then I have this special encoding for the copyright symbol. So in the past, just kind of a remembrance, we installed a extension that enabled us to right click and choose Open in Default Browser. And that worked pretty cool, but then we had to continually refresh the page every time we made a change. So I'm going to give you a different extension if you want to play around with it. So under extensions, if you want to click on something called Live Server, I think mine's already installed, but if you want to click on this one and go ahead and install Live Server, this is really a neat extension because what it'll do once you install it is when I right click on index.html now, and I have this option now that says open with Live Server, what that'll do is it'll open up a web page for me. And it did it in the other monitor, so let me pull that over here. And what's really neat about this one is that if I make a change, so if I make a change here, I'm going to change characters of Hawaii to characters from Hawaii, maybe, without doing anything. I don't have to refresh the page. It should already refresh itself. See how it made the change? I didn't have to come in here and refresh it. Live Server is always paying attention to changes and will automatically refresh my page for me. So that makes things a little bit easier. So I'm going to use Live Server for my example here during this video so I don't have to keep coming over here and refreshing the page. All right, so now I'm going to create that stitch page. So I'm going to, again, highlight the entire folder, the root folder as we're going to call it. I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to call it stitch.html. And I think the easiest way to do it is just copy all of this code over because it's going to look very similar and paste it here. And now just make the appropriate changes for Stitch. So remember the navigation should be the same on all pages. So I'm not going to change this because I'm on this Stitch page or I'm on the index page. Now I'm going to change the image to Stitch, which is right there, stitch.png. And this is an image of Stitch. And the rest of this should be the same. So let me click on this link to the Stitch page. There's the Stitch page. So again, and there we go. All right, so now I'm set up. So now that I'm set up, let's talk about what CSS is and start applying it to our newly created website.